Welcome to bpmstuff, an indebted guide to Uncle Adams. Today on Song Analysis, we will be talking about I Am Stronger. I Am Stronger was released in September 2013 and is one of Curtis's most well-known songs. However, before delving into the lyrics and the beat and so on, we really need to look at the background of the song, how it came to be, as well as some of the events that occurred after the song was released. I know there was a piece of warning text at the start of this video, but I just want to say again that there may be some triggers throughout this video. I want this channel to generally have an upbeat, lighthearted, comedic tone to it, but when talking about Unk's early discography, it kind of means I need to talk about some of these darker issues, just as a heads up. In early September 2012, a young Canadian girl who has been subject to blackmail, sextortion, cyberstalking and bullying both online and offline decides to do something positive about it, to turn the abuse she's experienced into something powerful and creative. This girl is Amanda Todd, and the project she has been working on is a YouTube video entitled My Story, Struggling, Bullying, Suicide, Self-Harm, which was posted on the 7th of September 2012. In this black and white video, she holds up cards which detail the suffering she has been experiencing, beginning with the lines, "Hello, I've decided to tell you about my never-ending story." She goes on to talk about what happened to her. Amanda and her friends used to go on webcam and chat. One day when she was 12 years old, a man asked her to flash herself, which after some persuasion, she eventually did. This impulsive decision, the kind of mistakes that many of us made as children without thinking, would start an awful snowball effect in her life. The man had screenshotted her and used this clip of child pornography to blackmail her. He stalked her, found out her address, and sent the image to her mother and her school friends in order to torture her. This sexual exploitation led to Amanda drinking and using drugs. Amanda also talks about sleeping with a friend of hers who was in a relationship. A week later, she was confronted by the boy's girlfriend and a group of her friends who hurled insults at Amanda and then punched her. Amanda's father found her laying in a ditch and took her home. She felt so humiliated and depressed that she attempted suicide by drinking bleach. She survived as she was brought to the hospital where her stomach was pumped. When she came home, she found abusive messages about her suicide attempt, and so started a cycle of bullying, followed by struggling with mental health. When Amanda and her family decided to move again, due to this bullying, the man tracked her down and sent the photo to classmates in the new school, convincing Amanda that she could never ever run away from this. Amanda's video went viral, but despite her story touching many people, she ended her own life on the 10th of October 2012. Sadly, this is just one tragic story of many that go on every single day. Stories like Amanda Todd's show the growing problem with bullying and cyberbullying and the tragic effects it can have, especially on children. SaskTel is a Saskatchewan telecommunications company which started a program called I Am Stronger, which is now called the Be Kind Online program. This campaign aimed to educate children online, to support victims of cyber abuse, and to help stop cyberbullying. Curtis was inspired by this campaign, as well as Amanda Todd's story, and while driving around seeing the I Am Stronger advertisements, he decided he was going to write a song with the same name in order to help raise awareness. Curtis wrote the lyrics of I Am Stronger in August 2013, in a matter of days. He released the song and music video on the 14th of September 2013, and at the time of recording this, it has amassed nearly 750,000 views. The song gained a lot of popularity on social media and was shared by schools, police and so on. So now we're going to talk about the beat. The song was recorded at the Blue Door recording studio in Regina. It was mixed and mastered by Johnny Keys, who also mixed and mastered his previous song, One of a Kind. The beat was produced by Royal Audio Tunes, who are a company that allow artists to purchase their beats online and use them in their own recordings. The music video was filmed and edited by Merlando, aka Merlin Sinclair, although I'll save talking about the music video for a different series. There are two pianos in this song. One is playing a pattern on the chords that sounds a bit like this. Although this seems to change throughout. We also hear a higher pitched piano, which works through a few repeated melodies that sound like this. There are artificial strings that play the chords with this rhythmic bass line. Then there is some other instrumentation, such as electric guitar playing an ascending pattern, electronic bass rhythmically playing the tonic of the chord, as well as some passing notes, and of course the drum loop, made up of kick, snare, toms, hi-hat, and occasional crash cymbal. So now we're going to talk about the lyrics. Apparently you parents really need to listen in. Maybe you should give your kid a little discipline. Instead of letting him act so inconsiderate, you say you're not the problem, the school system is. I think these opening lines are pretty good. There's some internal rhyme, there's some nice stuff in there, some nice imagery. Yeah, I wouldn't say there's any issue with them. They're simple enough for a child to understand, but not too corny. So I don't think there's any issue with this. Well, picture this. Yeah, as sick as it is, there's a whole lot of kids who do not want to live. Curtis really has a fixation on suicide. Rather than just talking about how harassment and bullying are bad, you shouldn't treat a fellow classmate poorly. Treat them as you would like to be treated. It's as if he wants to continuously talk about the awful tragedies that can occur when someone gets bullied. It just seems a bit extreme to me. Searching up and down the halls for a Ritalin fix, not knowing how upset the vice principal gets. I know North America has a much bigger Ritalin issue than the UK does, but I can't say it's a drug I associate with abusing. It's a drug I associate with kids taking them in caffeine pills in order to finish an assignment, not sort of in reaction to bullying. I don't know if it was because he couldn't use alcohol or class A's or anything, so he was just like, what's a drug that kids could take? Again, I could be wrong, so do correct me if that's not true. Also, rhyming fix and gets is a stretch, even in my accent. No. When he gets another call from another troubled mom, crying on the phone, saying that her son sobs. The imagery here is clunky and rhyming. Again, mom and sobs, I know they don't rhyme. And I don't even know if it's meant to be an internal rhyme, because he says calls, mom, phone, sobs. The rhyming is so bad that I can't tell if it's meant to be an internal rhyme and they're just a stretch, or if there isn't a rhyme there. That's got to be something when your rhyming is so off that I actually can't tell what you were trying to do. Asking himself what he did to deserve this, just because he looks a little different on the surface. Looking different on the surface rather than looking different beneath the surface, like the bit that you can't see. I know what he was trying to do. It's like so much of his music, it just needs a rewrite, it needs a revision. The first line you come up with isn't necessarily the best one. There's usually enough in Curtis's writing that you could build upon it. There's enough nice imagery or nice rhymes and so on that there's a solid song in there. But then there's errors, or there's poor ideas, or just bad lyrics that you think, you could have cut that. Curtis really needs an editor, and not just for the At Least a Million series. Whoa! Maybe it's the way he acts, or the crazy fact that his dad passed away last May from a heart attack. Big fan of the flow change here and the internal rhymes and all. Credit where it's due. He already feels alone and confused, and to top it off, he goes to school and gets abused. Abused always stuck out to me here. It's not how people talk, or it's not the word you would use to describe, your classmates bullying you and picking on you. And then we hear the hook. I am smarter, I am stronger, I will take it no longer. I have feelings, I'm a person, I will live life with purpose. And then it repeats. So the hook. It's catchy enough, it's easy to sing along to, which is good since it's kind of an anthem for kids. It does trip me up though that the first line is I am smarter rather than I am stronger. Even though I've heard the song probably 100 times at least, I still find myself singing I am stronger. I am stronger, I am stronger. Damn it, no longer. They're nice lines though. The song is emphasizing that everyone, all human beings are people. They matter. You're seen. You're important. Which is, a little corny, a little overdone, but this is for kids. If it makes them feel good, then, how can I criticize it? Good hook. P.S. I love the no ad-lib in the no longer line. I will take it no longer. It's so loud and jarring, but I really like it. I'm really into it for some reason. I don't know if this is just what happens when you listen to the song over 100 times, but it's so unnecessary. It definitely doesn't need to be there. He doesn't do that in most of his songs. I love it though. It's the best bit of the song. So then into the second verse. There was a girl who wore a lot of makeup. Every weekend her parents used to break up. This is such an odd set of lines to me. I like the first one enough, but the second one, imagery wise, is it implying they fight every weekend, or that her parents are with different people? I actually, if someone could shine a light on what the hell this means, I don't know. I don't really get it. Strange people coming through the house that would take stuff. She felt ashamed every day from the waist up. Who's coming into the house? Is it meant to be a rough place she's growing up in, a crack den? Or is it that because they're broke, that maybe they're getting their stuff repossessed? Or is it that her parents break up every weekend and then another lover comes in and steals? I actually don't get it. I don't know what's going on here. It's so vague yet descriptive, which is impressive. If anyone knows, genuinely let me know, because I don't get it at all. Similar to the surface line in the first verse, she felt ashamed from the waist up. She felt ashamed, but only above the belt. And in fact, he says from, which implies that she only feels shame from these areas, i.e. she felt shame from her abdomen. It just needs a rewrite. It's just simple as that to me. It just feels like he hasn't thought about the line again. She covered up with cover up to try and hide, and sat alone every single day at lunchtime. Decent lyrics. They're simple but effective in describing this girl's sense of loneliness at school. Again, they're easy for a kid to relate to and understand. Yeah, decent. Then came the rumours, whispers and gossip. She was too bothered to focus on topics. I know he's doing the same sort of flow and rhyme change from verse 1, but bothered in there always felt odd to me, but that's kind of nitpicking. Grades started dropping, running out of options. Kids said she was better off in a coffin. She started to believe thoughts evil as these, struggling for a reason to breathe. These lines are pretty heavy, but I can't say anything too negative about them. Paints a pretty good picture of what it was like to be a teenager at school and, being picked on and bullied and the thoughts that would go through your head. Also, for a while, I totally thought the lyric was, she started to believe God's evilest deeds. As if she was so sad that she started to believe that God had flooded the earth and killed people and had killed kids and so on. Yeah. One night someone put a picture on Facebook of a cow. It said, "This is how Shay looks." She read it with a tear streaming down her cheek. Then she went to sleep permanently. She drank bleach. I have so many issues with this. So Curtis has said numerous times that Shay is an Amanda Todd stand-in, that Amanda Todd inspired this character Shay, which makes a lot of sense because it was falsely reported in some places that Amanda had committed suicide via drinking bleach. But in fact, this was actually a previous suicide attempt that she'd survived, was drinking bleach. But it almost implies that the reason Amanda Todd was suicidal is because someone called her a cow, rather than the years of sexual exploitation and blackmail and harassment she'd experienced. I don't know, it just doesn't sit well with me after reading up on Amanda Todd and other victims of cyber abuse that Curtis has mentioned. It just feels really tacky, or the fact it's so blunt and not subtle like some of the previous lines were. He almost belittles how bad bullying can get by implying that a picture of an animal I don't know, nothing about it sits with me. It just feels poor. We then hear the hook again. I am smarter, I am stronger, I will take it no longer. I have feelings, I'm a person, I will live life with purpose. Which then repeats, and then we hear the third verse. I hope you take the words that I wrote in this song, and you use them as the strength that you hold in your palm. This line feels a little funky to me. Song and palm, kind of half rhyme, and the imagery's alright. It's fine, it's passable. When you see a fellow classmate treated in a bad way, stand up for him and support him like a back brace. Eminem level simile if I've ever heard one. Christ. Again, way and brace don't rhyme. You're not getting away with that one. No sad face, opposite emoticon. Actually my favourite transformer. I also love that Curtis uses emoticon rather than emoji here. It must have been out of date in 2013, wasn't it? Emoticon? I don't know, I kind of like it. It's like a relic of the old internet, and Curtis doesn't really understand the internet. I like it. I know it's tough, but you gotta keep holding on. You feel like you want to burst like a soda pop. He wasn't raised right. He doesn't know to stop. He will never stop. He doesn't know how to. Part of growing up is treating folks with respect. It's not a talent to speak with a vile dialect. I'm not saying I'm perfect. There's things I regret, but I can do good with all the time I have left. Later in his career, we'll see that Curtis could have done with growing up and learning to treat people with respect. And he does actually also use vile dialect. So this is kind of applicable to him. Aside from that, these lines are fine. Alright? I speak the truth, and I believe in you. If you're not willing to change, get up and leave the room. I gave you a chance. Take your evil demons too. But as you walk away, this is what we say to you. These lines are really weird to end the song on, excluding the hook. They just feel like a totally different song. The imagery is totally different. The word demons, they don't necessarily work without the video. Really odd to me. They really stick out. We then hear the hook for a final time, and the song ends. About a week later, Curtis gets interviewed on CTV Morning Live and mentions that the character Shay in the song and video was inspired by Amanda Todd. He also mentions that the humanitarian group Red Cross want to get involved with his anti-bullying mission. Over the next few months, Curtis says that numerous people had messaged him. Kids, schools and so on would reach out to Curtis, asking if he would perhaps talk or perform at their school. Curtis initially would reject these offers, saying that he doesn't actually do stuff like that. But then he began thinking, why can't he do that? He decided to put together a presentation called Unkle Adams, I Am Stronger Than Bullying, and he presented it at a school, which then later grew into him presenting it at numerous Virginia public schools. The presentation would be around 45 minutes and was very basic. It was mainly just Curtis talking with a slideshow in the background. In his presentation, he mentions 3 Canadian teenagers, all of which committed suicide, partially due to bullying. One of these is Amanda Todd, and the other 2 I have chosen not to name. At the end, he would perform the song I Am Stronger with the music video playing in the background. He seems to begin actually doing these presentations in and around February 2014. In my previous song analysis video, I said that I didn't think Curtis was going around schools when One of a Kind was released. And the first thing you can think of is, I'm going to tell these kids to put a condom on. I also don't know, at this point, I don't know if he was going around schools yet. Obviously, immediately he was trying to do the wholesome rapper thing, but he wasn't going to schools yet, was he? I don't know if that makes it weirder or not. Can someone in the comments tell me, was Unkle Adams doing appearances at schools at this point? Because I assumed it was after I Am Stronger. So I was actually correct. He didn't begin doing these presentations until after I Am Stronger had dropped. So I think that makes the condom line worse. There you go. On the 1st of March 2014, Curtis was interviewed on Global Morning News. In this interview, he mentions that he feels like he's being bullied presently, but I'll talk about that a little later in this video. At this point, the song has reached 31,000 views on YouTube. On the 22nd of March 2014, the issue of QC magazine, which is a magazine within Regina's Leader Post newspaper, is released. The issue has Unkle Adams on the front cover and features an interview in which he details some of what I've been talking about in this video. At this point, I Am Stronger has around 36,000 views on YouTube. On the 20th of June 2014, Curtis uploaded Who is Uncle Adams interview video. This interview looks a lot like what I've been doing in this video, since Curtis is not actually being asked any questions, but instead is sitting alone in a room talking to the camera. He again talks about his I Am Stronger presentation, but also mentions that he's working on an impaired driving presentation based around his new song, Put the Keys Down. On the 24th of August 2015, Curtis uploaded a radio interview with Scotty Wonderful Radio. This interview is conducted by two young presenters and seems to be of really poor quality. They both ask the same question by accident, implying they aren't even listening to each other, and it also features some really poor audio quality. It implies to me that Curtis isn't actually being approached for interviews that often, since he would choose to upload this one as part of only a handful of interviews on his own channel. However, in this interview, Curtis states that he plans to go to Australia in and around early 2016 and go around touring Australian schools, performing his presentations for the next 6 months. On the 14th of March 2016, Unkle Adams was interviewed by the Long Island news channel FIOS1, with recent clips of Curtis performing his presentation at Long Beach Middle School. In this interview, they also state that the I Am Stronger music video has received over 10 million views online, although considering it hadn't reached 40,000 views in March 2014 and now still hasn't reached a million views, this seems to be untrue. In fact, if we just look at the views, the song had less than 50,000 views at the start of 2014. By mid-2018, the song had just over 600,000 views. And now in early 2021, the song is nearly on 750,000 views. The numbers imply that I Am Stronger gained more popularity when it reached meme status, and Unkle Adams became an internet talking point, rather than from kids checking it out after Curtis performed his presentation at their school. So this all looked like the start of a successful venture, in which Curtis would be a motivational speaker and rapper that would inspire kids and perform at schools all over the world. So what happened? Curtis created and wrote these presentations himself. He didn't work with any charities or campaigns. He didn't speak to the school boards beforehand. He wrote this all from the heart. And although a noble effort, there was no one there to police it. There was no one there to regulate the content and ensure that it was appropriate for kids. There are very strict rules and guidelines about how to present content about suicide or mental health or self-harm or abuse to minors, to children. And Curtis in his presentations was breaking these rules. In one of the interviews that came out after I Am Stronger dropped, Curtis talked about how the Red Cross and others were trying to get in contact with him. So basically these charities, these anti-bully campaigns and so on, wanted to team up with Unkle Adams. They wanted this to become a brand. So this would have involved editing the content, making sure that everything in this presentation was suitable for children. This could have also included future presentations. So for example, Curtis had spoken about plans for a safe driving presentation. So again, they could have maybe been in contact with the police and so on and made sure that he had all the facts correct, all the data was correct, and that everything was appropriate. However, unhappy with being censored, Curtis created a campaign in order to allow him to say whatever he wanted at these presentations. This is all outlined in his change.org petition, which is well worth a read. I'll leave a link to it below. For example, he claims that he only shows pictures of these kids while they're alive, and then explains to the children that they are no longer with us and will never ever be with us again, and this is one of the serious effects of bullying. Again, this is a fixation on suicide rather than just bullying being a bad thing in the first place. Also, you can guess some of the content that they would have had a problem with, such as the "She drank bleach" line, since it's actually an instruction of how you could attempt suicide. In the Global Morning News interview back in March 2014, Curtis actually compares this censorship situation to him being bullied. Throughout these interviews that I've outlined in this video, we see Curtis's focus shift away from anti-bullying, from motivation, from wanting to inspire people and help kids as much as possible, to a focus on being yourself, no matter what anyone says, no matter the criticisms, which when the criticisms are valid and your presentation is potentially harmful, then editing or changing isn't an issue. He quotes Oscar Wilde's "Be yourself because everybody else is taken," which, although witty, that quote misses the nuances of being yourself, but only if it isn't harmful and it isn't hurtful. Through these interviews, we can also see Curtis become more and more egocentric. At the beginning, he was flattered and humbled by the fact that kids wanted him to perform at their schools and that he could help people. But later, he talks more about the fact that he has a gift, how good his ability at rapping is, and the fact that he has fans all across the globe. The real legacy of I Am Stronger is not anti-bullying. It's Curtis fighting against censorship. Unkle Adams wanted to become a champion of free speech in order to protect some lyrics he wrote in a matter of days back in August 2013, even if it meant destroying a career that he could have had in music and creating presentations in order to help people. He says that he's an artist who should be allowed to say what he wants, and yet doesn't hold others to the same standard. He himself has censored his critics, his audience, and his own content. We see this in disabling likes and dislikes on videos so that no one can see what people actually think. His attacks on Anthony Fantano for criticising his music, misusing the YouTube copyright system in order to pull down videos about you, deleting old content because it doesn't fit with your current brand. The story of I Am Stronger is not about overcoming adversity. It's about stubbornness and ego.